YouTube says 88.5 of you guys are not subscribed. And before the video, I just want to say, everyone, please subscribe. We're on the road to 200 subs by the end of February. And if we can get this number to say 50%, that would be awesome, guys. On to the video. Hello, everyone. Today we are doing What If Deku Had Marshadow's Abilities, Part 1. This was also suggested by a fan. So this will be our first vigilante one. We start this off when Deku is 4, as always. And one day he wakes up, but he feels so much smaller. And he looks at his hand and then sees it's completely black. And he's like, wait, why am I... He goes to the mirror. He can't even reach the mirror now. So he has to use a couple step stools. And eventually, he looks like this shadowy figure. And he goes to school, but the teachers don't recognize it as him and see it as a possible intruder, so they don't let him in. So he's just wandering around when he finds his house, and he knocks on the door, and Inko's like, "Oh, who are you, little person?" And Deku's like, "Mom, it's me." And then Inko's like, "Izuku? You're not Izuku. Izuku's at school." And then Izuku's like, "They turned me away because I look like this." And Inko's like, my Izuku doesn't have his quirk yet. I don't know what you're talking about. Good day. Then she slams the door on him, and then Deku begins to cry like, she doesn't even believe me either. Then he's wandering around in the streets, and then eventually, when he's wandering around long enough, he sees All Might save somebody from a villain attack, and he's astonished, like, oh my gosh, All Might. And then through the years, Inko reported Izuku as missing, and Izuku was never found because they didn't know that the Marshadow was Izuku. Izuku doesn't even know what his quirk is called. He just knows he's a shadowy figure that can use strange powers. And Izuku's very shy and observant, like a Marshadow would be. And eventually, when he turns 17, he decides that he'll be a vigilante, like he heard about on the news. So one night, when he sees a girl about to be beaten by this gang, he saves her. And she's like, oh, thank you so much, sir. Then Deku's like, don't mention it. And then he beats up the bad guys and then lets her go. And that happens. And one of the heroes that was patrolling heard the noise and then ran over just to see Izuku quickly go away. And then what he found in the alley he didn't expect. He found 5 dead gang members, and the hero was like, what did I just see? And then he reports that to the police, and now Izuku is wanted, but they don't know what he looks like because the man didn't even see it. All he saw was a black silhouette jump up into a building. So, Izuku does that for around 3 years, and he's surviving on a small amount of food that one of his friends that he made over through the years gave the food to him a good amount of times. And this person's name was Shoto. And sometimes they would meet at a certain place, and uh, Izuku would be given food, and they'd talk for a little before Todoroki would have to hastily and quietly run back to his house. And Izuku one time asked him, "So, who are your parents?" And Todoroki shivers at this question. And then Todoroki's like, "Endeavor." And then Deku's like, "Oh, that must be so cool to have someone of that caliber as your dad." And then Todoroki starts crying like, no, he's not. And then he starts crying. Izuku's like, "What does he do?" And then Todoroki's like, "He hits me." And then Izuku is shocked, like, why would he do that? And then Todoroki's like, I don't know. And then that happens. So Deku is wandering around, and one time he sees villains fleeing us. He hears one big bang, and it was a bombing at a bank. And he sees the villains running out, and he uses a shadow ball on them, and it hits them, and they fly back into the building. Then a giant shadowy explosion happens, and Izuku's like, "Another job well done." And then he sees Ryukyu looking at him, and then she transforms into her dragon form, like, "Come here, you villain." And then Izuku, frightened, runs away with his little persona, and eventually he jumps into a dumpster, and Ryukyu can't find him. Like, where could that little pipsqueak could have gone? And then she opens the trash can, and he's not there, and then she gives up. And as she's walking away, Izuku is watching her, and she feels like she's being watched, but she knows it's probably the villain she saw, but she just ignores it and walks away. And Deku, 10 minutes later, gets out of the garbage can, like, that was rough. And then when someone walks by, he quickly gets away. And then after a few months of this, he hears about on the news of hero students attacked, and one second, guys. And he reads about on the news about All Might dying. And Izuku is heartbroken by this, like, All Might died. And then he keeps reading on the story, like, villains invade UA top school with top security. And then Izuku starts shouting, like, how could the school system let this happen? Fools. I'll avenge you, All Might. I'll do something great. That's when, months later, he's been doing some bigger criminals, and one night he hears a giant boom, and he sees the whole building is like gone, and sees a man pop out. He is in a suit, and he looks like he has this giant mask on. And then he sees the pro hero Best Genius be nearly killed by this man. And then he sees Mirio and Sir Night-Eye go to attack him. And Deku's like, who is that? And then he hears Sir Night-Eye shout the name, All for One. Then Deku's like, oh, isn't that the top villain? Then he runs over to help them. And that's when Mirio knows him, like, what could you do? And then, Sir Night-Eye notices him, actually, and is like, stay on guard, Mirio. It looks like he has backup. And then Deku is like, I only want to help. And then Sir Night-Eye's like, are you a hero? And Deku's like, yeah. And then Sir Night-Eye's like, well, help us take down this villain. and then they start attacking All For One, and that's when eventually Deku gets behind All For One. And so in the Pokedex entry, I just want to clarify with you guys. It says this. Let me pull it up. It slips into the shadows of others and mimics their powers and movements. As it improves, it becomes stronger than those it's imitating. What that could mean, he slips into All For One's shadow, and, well, he becomes All For One, and All For One is like, wait, what's happening to me? And then that's when Deku starts controlling him, and he kneels onto the ground, and Mirio's like, wait, what's happening? And then Mirio's like, quickly, detain me. I only have him for a short time. He is a very strong will. He is hard to contain. And then, while Deku's also becoming stronger while doing this, he's improving his strength at controlling him, but at the same time, All For One is trying to gain back control as fast as he can. And right as he gets the quirk-canceling handcuffs on him, and he's about to load into the van, Deku pops out of his shadow, and All For One yells like, "What? What happened?" And he just sees behind him Marshadow waving goodbye, like, bye-bye. And then All For One's like, I'll get back at you! And that as he screams, as he's put into the police van, and he's honestly shocked, like, played by a low hero that I've never heard of. Matches the description of a vigilante. Interesting. And about a month later, he hears about a raid on what's the group called? The Overhaul group. Let me think, guys. The Chiazaikai. Anyway, he gets there over near the end of the raid. He sees Mirio fighting Overhaul, but Overhaul is massive. He's like all red, and as would do, he slips into Mirio's shadow and becomes Mirio, and now there's two Mirios. Well, just kidding. It's actually Deku controlling Mirio. And Mirio's like, I don't need your help. That's what he's saying inside his mind. But Deku ignores him, and he's fighting for Mirio. And he's defeating Overhaul quite easily. Because Deku, remember, Marshadow is a shadow type. A ghost type and a fighting type. So he's dominating Overhaul in technique, at least. And that's when he has Area on his back and he uses 100%. And he defeats Overhaul. And that's where we're going to end off part 1. Goodbye, guys.